Hello and welcome to Physics with Amol sir. So this video is for class 12 and we will continue with the chapter of moving charges and magnetism. So previously we saw the Biot-Savart's law and we saw its application. Now we have seen that Biot-Savart's law we can use to find out magnetic field at any point. Also we understood that magnetic field will arise due to an electric current. Today we will talk about the Ampere's circuit law, and once again, as I have told you previously, this law is again very important. Okay, not just for our exam point of view, but to understand the phenomena of magnetism. Okay, so let's begin. So let us see the Ampere's circuital law. Now we can actually consider this Ampere's law to be another form of the Biot-Savart's law. Okay, the statement and all is different, but it is basically the same concept. Now what we saw in Biot-Savart's law, that current when it flows in a conductor, it creates a magnetic field, and we got an expression for that magnetic field. Ampere's circuital law will basically talk about the same concept, that when an electric current goes through a conductor, there will be a magnetic field created due to it. But the statement of Ampere's law is very much simpler than the Biot-Savart's law, and it is actually very easy to find out magnetic fields due to Ampere's law. Okay, so let us see. So consider we have a conductor like this, from which there is an electric current I which is flowing through. Correct? Now the passage of current through this conductor will actually create a magnetic field. Okay, so there will be a magnetic field created around this conductor. Let us draw a circular loop. Okay, so we can actually determine how much is a magnetic field on this circular loop using the Ampere's law. Okay, so first let us see the statement. So Ampere's law, the Ampere's circuital law will say that the closed line integral of magnetic field over a closed loop is equal to mu naught times current enclosed by that loop. Okay, let us write the mathematical form. So this is the closed loop we have imagined. Okay, here we have drawn a circle. Need not be a circle. A closed loop can be a square, a closed loop can be a rectangle. Okay, or it can be any kind of rough shape as well, as long as it is a closed loop. Okay, so Ampere's law will say the closed line integral. How do you write a closed line integral? This is how we write a closed line integral of magnetic field. So magnetic field is B dot dl. Okay, this dl has come because of the length of that particular loop. Okay, so this is closed line integral of magnetic field. Ampere's law will say this closed line integral is equal to mu naught times the electric current enclosed by the loop. I am sure you remember this mu naught, that is nothing but the permeability of free space. Okay, this actually this factor will give how much the magnetic field is allowed to spread. So closed line integral of B dot dl equal to mu naught I. This is the Ampere's law. So it is as simple as that. Okay, Ampere's law will tell you the magnetic field over that closed loop will be mu naught I. Okay, I denotes the current that is enclosed by that loop. Okay, so whatever is the current that is passing through the loop, only that current will be considered. There is no factor of current outside the loop, right? So this is a statement of that Ampere's law. Now let us apply it for a simpler case. Let us say this was the loop we considered, and this is the r is the radius of this loop. Correct? So if r is the radius, how much will be the total length of this loop? That will be the circumference. So we can write B dot dl. So integral of B dot dl, integral of dl will be nothing but the circumference, that is 2 pi r. So I can write this as B multiplied by 2 pi r is equal to mu naught I. Now of course, because this is a dot product, so as it is, there is all of these are scalars. So B dot 2 pi r is equal to mu naught I. So therefore we get B is equal to mu naught I upon 2 pi r. So using the Ampere's law, we have determined how much will be the magnetic field on this loop. Now can you consider a larger loop? Definitely. You can consider a loop that is much larger like this. That will have some other radius, let us say r1. Then I will get B is equal to mu naught I 2 pi r1. Getting the idea? So you can use the Ampere's law for any such kind of closed loop. Now if you don't want to draw a circle, you can draw a loop that is in the shape of a square as well. Okay, in that case, the length of the square will be equal to, if L is one side, so it will be 4L. Correct? So we get B into 4L equal to mu naught I. Getting the idea? So this is how Ampere's law can be used. Another thing, this loop that we have drawn, that is given a name and it is called as the Amperian loop. Okay, so this loop that we make, either it can be a circle, it can be a square, or whatever shape you call it, it is called as an Amperian loop. Okay, how we select an Amperian loop? There are some 2-3 rules you have to follow. One rule is that the magnetic field, it should be tangential to that loop, or the magnetic field should be perpendicular to that loop, or the magnetic field should vanish, that it should be 0. If any of these 3 conditions are satisfied, you can draw an Amperian loop in that case. Another thing to remember, now as we saw the right hand thumb rule. Right hand rule we had for when we did the Biot-Savart's law. So what we understand that if the curled fingers show the direction of electric current, thumb gave the direction of the magnetic field. Okay, I'm sure you remember this. If curled fingers are showing direction of electric current, this thumb will give the direction of magnetic field. Remember this when we are seeing the applications of the Ampere's law. Okay, now we are going to see the applications of Ampere's law. First application is we are going to find the magnetic field due to a solenoid. I hope you remember a solenoid. We had seen this in class 10. Okay, a solenoid is nothing but a long enameled copper wire. Okay, that is given a cylindrical shape. Okay, many turns are given, and that structure we call as a solenoid. Now, what is important in a solenoid? When you make a solenoid, the copper wire or whatever metal we are using, it should be insulated. It should be enameled. Okay, and the turn should be very much close to each other. So here we have the diagram of a solenoid. Okay, so we have a solenoid like this. It consists of many turns of copper wire. For this diagram to be clear, we have drawn them much farther apart. In reality, they are very close to each other. Now imagine there is an electric current that is going through this copper wire. Okay, through this solenoid. So what we imagine right now? The current is going like this. That means when I am seeing from here, the current is going in a clockwise sense for me. Okay, so in this manner will be the current. So you can imagine a current I is going through the solenoid. Let capital L. Okay, L will be the total length of this solenoid. Our task is to find out magnetic field inside the solenoid using the Ampere's law. Now what are the things we should understand? Consider one such loop. Okay, so let us say I am thinking about this one loop first. So the current goes in this loop like this. Okay, because of the current that is going through this loop, there is going to be a magnetic field which will be in this direction from the left hand side to the right hand side. Same thing will happen to the second loop as well. So all these n number of loops, all of them will create a magnetic field in the same direction. So what will happen is, inside, let us say on the top part, the magnetic field inside will go like this. Is that correct? Addition of all the loops. Correct? But now I am sure you remember magnetic field lines, they are always closed loops. So outside what will happen? The loop will turn like this. Okay, so this will be the shape of the magnetic field line. Same thing will happen on this side as well. Okay, so we will consider due to all these loops that are going here, again the magnetic field will be in the same direction. So at the down part, we are going to see a magnetic field like this. Correct? Now for simplicity's sake, we are taking only 2 such lines. There are many such lines that are going to be created. Inside the solenoid, you will see all these lines are very much parallel to each other. So there will be a large number of field lines which will be going inside the solenoid, all will be parallel. And of course the space inside is very much less, so they will be in straight lines in this case. Outside they are going to curve, they are going to have a larger space, so magnetic field lines will be curving on a much larger space on the outside of the solenoid. Now consider 2 points. Inside the solenoid here we have a point P, and outside over here we have a point Q. Magnetic field will be very strong at this point P. Correct? Because all these field lines are present inside. Okay, so magnetic field is going to be very much strong at point P. But at point P, at point Q, the field will be very weak. In fact, we can actually take it as almost 0. Now I am saying almost 0 because it is not exactly 0. there is some magnetic field here, but it is very weak. As I told you, the field lines are much farther away on the top side or on this bottom side. Okay, so here at this point Q, we can actually consider the magnetic field is 0, and this is going to be our assumption for the next part. Correct? So remember this part, that at Q we will consider magnetic field as 0. In an ideal condition it is 0, but in most practical cases we do get magnetic field at Q as well. But anyways, for our this particular derivation, we are not going to consider it. Fine. So at Q we will take the magnetic field as 0. Now this is a cross section of the solenoid. We have cut the solenoid and we are looking at it. Okay. So if you cut the solenoid and you look at it, this is the kind of structure you are going to see. Okay. The dots at the top, they show the electric field as it is coming outside. The crosses at the bottom, they show the electric field that is going inside. So you can see the electric field direction is like this. Correct? If I curl my fingers, this is the direction of the electric field. Correct? And our task is now to find out the magnetic field. So to do that, we have drawn an Amperian loop, ABCD. Can you see that loop now? Okay, so ABCD, this is the loop we have made. Okay, it is a rectangular loop. Now let the length of AB be equal to H. Okay, the task is now to find out how much will be the magnetic field using the Ampere's circuital law. Now what do we remember? For the loop BC and the loop AD, on BC and AD there is no magnetic field. The magnetic field is going to be 0. Why it will be 0? You can see that the direction of electric field, okay, and the direction of this length element, that is BC and AD, they are making a perpendicular angle with each other. So what we will get, B dot dl, it will be BDL cos theta. Theta will be 90. Okay, cos 90 is 0. So on BC and AD, the magnetic field is going to be 0. There is no magnetic field that you will get on BC and AD. Similarly, on CD, the magnetic field will also be 0. Okay. Here, as we have spoken previously, outside the solenoid, we are taking the magnetic field to be 0. Okay. So the only field that we are going to get will be on the arm AB. Okay. Now, this BC and AD, they are as it is 0. There is no magnetic field. The arm that is on top, CD, that we have considered to be almost 0. Correct? So remember this whenever you are writing this answer. Okay. So whatever magnetic field we are going to get will be only on the arm A, B. Okay. Now let us start with our derivation. So what we will consider, let small n be the number of turns of solenoid per unit length. Okay. So for that length AB, length of AB is small h. So we can write the total number of turns from A to B is capital N, and capital N will be equal to small n into h. Let us call this equation number 1. Okay, so this is the total number of turns. Now, in each coil, the current flowing is equal to I. So, in that Ampere's loop, the current enclosed, let me write it as IE. The current enclosed IE will be equal to I, that is current from one coil multiplied by capital N, the total number of turns. So IE is equal to IN, and of course from equation 1 I will get this as small n h into I. Okay, so IE is equal to NHI. Let us call this equation number 2. Now let us use the Ampere's circuital law. Ampere's circuital law will say that closed line integral will be equal to mu naught I. So B, that is the magnetic field inside, multiplied by the length. How much is the total length? It is equal to h. Okay, so integral of dl is nothing but h in this case. So BH will be equal to mu naught into IE. But from equation 2 you can see I is equal to this. So you can get BH is equal to mu naught NHI. H gets cancelled. So we get B is equal to mu naught NI. This will give the magnetic field inside the solenoid. We can see the magnetic field inside solenoid depends upon permeability, number of turns per unit length, and the current. If you increase number of turns or the current, you can increase the magnetic field. So basically, that is the function of that solenoid, to create a very strong magnetic field inside, which is given by the equation mu naught Ni. Okay. Of course, if we pass more current, a stronger magnetic field will be produced. and basically what we do is if we put a magnetic material inside, it actually gets magnetized. Correct? If we put a soft iron core, then we can actually get it magnetized. That is how water solenoid is actually used for. So this is the first application of the Ampere's law to find out magnetic field of a solenoid. Next, same logic we are going to use to find magnetic field of a toroid. Now we will derive the magnetic field inside a toroid. Now what is a toroid? A toroid is basically you take a solenoid and you twist it and form into a ring-like shape. Okay, that is basically a toroid. It is nothing but if you can imagine a donut shape and a copper coil is wound over it. Okay, that becomes a toroid. So we have to find out the magnetic field inside the toroid. Now we will imagine three regions of this toroid. This is the first region which is inside, okay, that between the empty space in the toroid. Second loop is actually inside whatever is the pipe of the toroid. Okay, so second region is inside this, and third region is outside. Now you will see for the region number 1, there is no electric current that is flowing through the first region. So the magnetic field inside the toroid will be 0. Then if you look at the loop number 3. Loop number 3, it is going to have magnetic field due to two kind of currents. Okay, from one loop the current will be going outside, the other loop the current will be going inside. Magnetic field will get cancelled out. So there will be no magnetic field in the loop 3 as well. Okay, so remember for the loop inside inside the toroid, loop 1 magnetic field is 0. For loop 3 again magnetic field will be 0. Only magnetic field will be due inside this loop number 2, which is inside this toroid, inside that hollow part of that toroid. This is where we are going to have the magnetic field. So just as before, this is a cross section of the toroid. Again the dot represents current coming outside, cross represents current going inside. Okay, so from that you can find the direction of the magnetic field. So now let us assume that small r is the radius of the second loop. Okay, again we are going to use the Ampere's circuital loop for this. So let capital N be the total number of loops in that toroid. Okay, so capital N is the total number of loops. Let I be the current that is flowing through these loops. So total current will be I into N. Correct? So and what will be the total length of this loop? Total length of this loop will be nothing but the circumference, which is equal to 2 pi r. So using Ampere's circuital law, we can write B dot the total length equal to mu naught into enclosed current, right? So B into what is the total length? Total length will be equal to 2 pi r of that second loop equal to mu naught into enclosed current. How much is enclosed current? I multiplied by capital N. Here capital N shows the total number of loops of that toroid. So again now from this you can write therefore B is equal to mu naught In upon 2 pi r. This gives the magnetic field inside the toroid. So that was a derivation for magnetic field inside a toroid. Now this detailed answer with all the steps you will find in the notes that I have given to you. Okay. If there was any doubt here, again go through those notes, read the textbook. Okay. In the exam there will be questions asked on Ampere's circuital law or its applications. And this is a very fundamental law, as I told you. This will help you to find out magnetic fields for in a number of cases. Biot-Savart's law is a little bit complicated, correct? But Ampere's law is very easy, and in many cases we can actually apply the Ampere's law and we can get the answer of the magnetic field. So I hope all this was understood. Go through the notes, go through the textbook, and if there are doubts, make sure you are asking. Thank you.